sci-fi and fantasy league. Someone was getting bored with the Tolkien stuff, so we on our forum we started talking about spinning off and doing another league or something, and it didn't really pan out as something that a bunch of people are in. There's 3 or 4 teams that people run on the side, but it still has I don't know how many teams are in that league. Standings would help. So there's 10 in one and 8 in the other of the sci-fi and fantasy league. So we've got a sci-fi league that's all science fiction type named teams and players if possible, and then a fantasy league which is all like other fantasy besides Tolkien.
Right. And then do the champions of the 2 leagues go up against each other?
Yeah,
so then there's sort of an ultimate championship.
Yeah, the SFL has always been kind of a glorified minor league. People raid them for free agents all the time and do trades and stuff with them. So they've never won the association championship, but.
Okay, so there's every year. How long have you been doing the association championship?
1, 5, 6.
So 6 years, and the Tolkien League has won it every time then.
Yeah. They made some small inroads a couple of years ago and actually won 2 of the championship games. But up until then, they'd just been 4-0 sweeps. And the most recent one was another 4-0.
Wow. So they're very overmatched then. Tolkien's the powerhouse.
Yeah,
in your world.
Yeah, it's akin to a Japanese league, really. I mean, it's a shorter season, fewer teams. There are some really good players, but it's mostly they'll play over there for a little while, and then someone in the Tolkien league will go, oh. And that's exactly the new GM for Bree. This past preseason before 2031 went raiding, and he picked up last year's SFL MVP for both leagues and what is the equivalent of Cy Young for both leagues. So he has both of their Cy Youngs and both of their MVPs on the Bree teams this year. And they won the most.
What do you call the?
We call the MVP the Aragorn. We call the MVP Aragorn MVP. We renamed all the awards. So the Cy Young is the Gandalf Pitcher of the Year. The Hitter of the Year is the Sam Gamgee Batter. What else we got here? League. Screen. There we go. So yeah, we don't go with the new configuration. They changed the configuration in OOTP so that, but in order to keep consistency with our awards, what OOTP calls the MVP is actually our batter award, the Sam Gamgee Batter, and pitchers don't win. Then the pitcher award is the Gandalf Pitcher Award. We got a Gwahir Reliever Award named after the eagle, the king of the eagles that rescued Sam and Frodo. The Frodo Rookie Award. The new thing, there's an offensive one that they just added by position, and that's the Gimli Zacks Award. The Legolas Fielder Awards for all the defensive positions, and then the one we vote on is the Aragorn MVP.
Well, I bet those elves are pretty good fielders, huh? Do you have any settings for that? I mean, or like, because you would assume, words are big, lumbering, great hitters, probably not great fielders, elves, light hitting, steal a lot of bases. Do you have that kind of modified for the various races, or is it just sort of?
No, we have the racial thing in there only for pretty much their face and their birth places, but not for like aging. If it's a 35-year-old elf, it's a 35-year-old human. It's not that they're 350, stuff like that. Yeah, that was going to be too much. Or I thought about it for the years, but it's too much. And it would kind of take it away, because one of the things we do like is the fact that if you just scrape off the names, it could be Mickey Mantle or Cy Young, or it could be Bilbo Baggins or Gandalf the Grey. It doesn't really matter what the name is. It's still good baseball, and this is a really good baseball series.
Right. So Hobbit could be a home run hitter then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Obviously. So who is your Cy Young or your Babe Ruth or whatever of the league?
Lately, one of the Minas Ithil hitters, Brutus Trollbasher. Another thing we can do is I let every team. When I first was coming up with the rules for the league, I went and looked at a whole bunch of other leagues that existed at the time. So I cherry picked some stuff from different leagues, and I can't remember where I got this from, but they had a rule where you could create a player, and I thought that was a good way to. My original intent was, to personalize it. You'd make your own player, make yourself into a player, and then you could be in the game as well. And no one's ever done that. They've always been very mercenary about very, I need a center fielder, I'm going to make a center fielder. So any player you see with with an asterisk in front of their name, like Brutus Trollbasher, that's a create a player. So everyone gets one that they can create, and there's some points limits, and they have to spend, if they spend a lot of points in one area, then they have to take them away from another. But typically you can make a pretty good star create a player, and he just won his 5th straight MVP.
How often can they create a player?
The rules are that they can, if they pick up a team, you're brand new, then you can create a player instantly. You can get rid of the old one, force them to retire, and create a new one. Once you create one, they have to stick around for at least 5 years before you can create a new one. There's some other rules in there where you can, if you create a player and he gets hurt immediately in spring training, you can throw it away and create a new one and stuff like that. Just, some little things over the years that we've added to it. But basically, you can't go creating a new guy every time you turn around. And most people don't want to anyway, because they do actually follow the history of these people. I just got an email from the Isengard team GM that his player he created way back when he picked up the team is now getting a little too long in the tooth to keep. So I'm going to have to retire him, I think, if he doesn't retire himself. Find him. Yeah, Ragnar Stonecutter.
What?
He's 38, and he's starting to lose it, but he was like a superstar for years as well. And they follow the history. They follow, at least I hope they do. From the conversations we've had in email and on the forum, people tend to follow the history of these players. They don't just throw them away.
Right. What are some of your other kind of house rules for the league?
We've got a rule where you can unretire a player. So if someone prematurely retires, you can spend money and unretire them. We've got a rule where you can spend money, because there's a lot of cash flowing around in the system, and there's not a lot to spend it on. We do have a salary cap to try to keep things on an even keel with everybody. So there's lots of things you can spend cash on, like stadium improvements, and you can spend for magical cures. So if someone takes a hit and gets injured for 2 months, you can cut their injury in half. And you can do that for any length of injury there is, but you can only cut it in half. You can spend money in the minors. So if you've got, during the off season, you've got some minor league players that you want to speed up a little bit, you can pour some money into that. I'd have to pull up the rules, actually. I don't know if it's going to affect our chat.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. I was just kind of curious. So as far as the spending money goes, so they tell you I will spend money on this, and then you just simply edit their available cash to remove it, and then make the whatever change they're purchasing. So they can do that. So and then there's some magic in there, then, as you were saying. So you can introduce a little bit of kind of the Middle Earth world.
Yeah, exactly. So if something like that happens, then I make a note of it in the history file. Receive magical cube. We can kind of keep track of how often that happens. It really actually doesn't happen.
Is that because people kind of don't want to abuse it, or they don't have enough money for it, or?
A little bit of both. I mean, especially, if you get a whole bunch of injuries, you can't spend it all on. Eventually, you're going to. But I think also somewhat abuse. They don't want to. Somewhat, people forget about it.
Yeah. Someone in the chat mentioned end of season bonus points. Is that something else you do?
Yep, we do. Seasonal every year. People get 20 bonus points to spend on a player that they want, and I just modify the ratings with those 20 points. There is a scale for, the bonus points. Some of the things you can spend 1 bonus point for, and it will improve multiple things, or some of them you have to spend multiple points for in order to have the same effect. Just over the years, figuring out, changing this thing will affect this, and this one won't. You can put 10 points into this and really won't make any difference. That kind of stuff. You can build a new stadium.
Right.
All kinds of stuff.
So as far as the stadium enhancements go, is that just you changing the parameters for the stadium, as increasing home runs, or decreasing them, or things like that?
Yeah, you can do it cosmetic. You can do it cosmetically, where you just change it from being grass to artificial turf or whatever. But there's also a spreadsheet that I picked up years ago. I don't really know if it still is as accurate as it used to be with the game, but if you make a wall height change in the spreadsheet, it goes ahead and calculates what the part factors would be from that wall height change. So I use that.
Right, I've seen that before. I did a goofy thing last year where I made the fences at Citi Field 150 feet from home plate. To see how that would change things, and someone pointed me to that spreadsheet. I'm trying to remember the name, who created it, but yeah, you punch in the kind of the dimensions you want to use, and then it spits out factors that you enter into the game. Because some people think you change the distance of the fences or whatever, and it'll just automatically change that, but it won't. It's just a thing for the play-by-play.
Right. So you have to change, and we can change foul territory. All those different factors. Make it domed. Make it a domed stadium. So then that kind of stuff.
So does anyone play in a domed stadium?
Yeah, we have a few. Yep. We've got how many? We got one. Pulling it up right now. I don't know. Affecting the chat. Yeah, we got one permanent dome, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 retractable roofs. The rest are open fields.
And is everyone playing in locations from the books?
Yes.
Or are there locations that have been made up, or no? It's
it's in the book. In fact, I joined the Lord of the Rings Online back when it started in 2006 or 2007. And one of the things that we used to do is, as they were expanding areas